818 at WBAP. Dr. G.M. Cox joins us right now, Assistant Professor, Director of the Master in Public Administration Program at Tarleton State, former Chief of Police in Murphy and Corsicana, kind enough to hop on with us. We have heard from all accounts, Dr. Cox, that the cooperation between the Austin PD and the FBI and the ATF&E in this particular investigation of this bomber that had gone on for 3 weeks or so, it sounds like this cooperation was unmatched. Is this common?
Ryan, yes, it is. It's my experience that when these kinds of events happen, all these jurisdictional infighting, these political things going on, go away. And these individuals and departments work well together. I've worked with FBI, ATF, and county law enforcement. Yes, it is not uncommon. And quite honestly, I think most cops, police officers, what we call LEOs, law enforcement officers, they appreciate it.
When you from afar watch this investigation unfold and you hear Brian Hanley, the interim police chief there in Austin, handle things, what was your take? Because to me, I was impressed. What was your take? You're experienced.
Yeah, I can tell you that the chief he's polished. He's probably had some experience as a PIO. It's no doubt when you get to be an assistant chief, acting chief in a city size of Austin, you bring to the table some skill sets that you're going to need. He obviously had them. I think he balanced sharing information, trying to be transparent with holding information that only the bomber or suspects might know. And that's necessary because of any future investigation or confessions. It has to be tied back to evidence. We
rolled through some of the ways that they started really gaining some steam and momentum as far as the investigation is concerned. They got lucky with some surveillance footage. They got lucky in being able to determine that Home Depot had made the sale to him, things of that nature. And we brought up this point, and tell me if we were off base here. There were a couple of times where he called out the bomber and said, hey, let us contact you, or hey, you contact us, or hey, let's get in touch with each other. And then we learned that one of the ways they were able to triangulate his whereabouts was that he finally turned a cell phone on. And they were able to ping him that way, and then they were able to figure out where he had been. Was him calling him out and saying, hey, let's communicate, was that an effort to try to get him to simply turn that phone on?
That's a smart police move when you think about it. My guess is that there was behavioral scientists working with Austin PD, the FBI, and one of the things they recommended would be to do that. Speak out to this individual because this person sees himself as that individual. Hey, I'm the cat. You need to talk to me. Yeah. And it's kind of a way to, I thought it was a great move. It's been done before. And it worked. I don't know if it was strictly intended to turn that telephone. I'm sure that they were wondering why they hadn't been able to find a phone connected to his name. But it was a great move. I thought it was great police work.
Dr. G.M. Cox is with us right now from down in Tarleton State, former chief of police, too, in Murphy and Corsicana. The other thing that you read the accounts of how the investigation unfolded and the fact that they got the closed-circuit image and he had the pink gloves on, and they determined that the Home Depot is the only place that sold the pink gloves, and they get this hit on a Home Depot that was selling nails, so they're able to put those together. I'm intrigued. I'm fascinated. I'm in awe of that. But I bet that happens every day, doesn't it?
Yes, it does. That's just good old shoe leather police investigating techniques. And in any investigation, you're going to get lucky. But I always say that investigators make their luck. So they get out there, they start turning over the rocks. We start we create a theory just like anyone else. And we create these theories, and we don't let the theory drive the evidence. We let the evidence drive the theory. So once you find, for instance, on the first victim, they had a theory. It played out a couple of days later that was a bad theory, so they moved on to another theory. That's just how it works. And I thought they did a great job. I would commend all those investigators for working together. I mean, think about the sheer coordination effort it took.
When you find out, and Dr. G.M. Cox from Tarleton's with us right now, when you find out that this bomber was homeschooled, had gone to Austin Community College, had described himself online as not necessarily politically inclined. He was just also described as a polite kid, a nice enough kid. His parents are strong Christians. They had a pool and a trampoline and looked like the average folks. He lived not far from them, was redoing a house. His dad was helping him. They had contact with him, every few days. He was just over at the house recently. Is that what you would have thought it would have been? The bomb?
I don't think there's any way you could. Those things. I've had cops work for me that were homeschooled, considered themselves conservative, went to a community college. They're great cops.
Yeah.
So it's almost impossible, based on those traits, to narrow down this individual as what flipped a switch. I'm looking for a couple of things. I think that we're going to find there's a couple of things that just light up in my mind. There's a great deal of investigating by this guy. He did some research, extensive research. My guess is they're going to find that when they start looking at his computer or however he accessed, because people don't wake up on a Monday or a Tuesday or whatever day it is and become bomb-making experts. That's not possible. There's too many ways to get killed doing that. I can't tell you the number of times I've actually investigated young people who thought they were going to make a pipe bomb, and what they found was a way to amputate their hand.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah, and you think about the research that he did and the fact that he had this bomb-making room in his house, and apparently a couple of roommates. Hard for me to imagine that they didn't know what was going on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know, and I don't know what their living arrangements were. We probably all, particularly as baby boomers, we had roommates back in the day trying to share rent, and I can see where, hey, don't go in my room, I won't go in your room. There was common areas, but I'm with you. It's very difficult for me to believe that the roommates had no knowledge.
30 seconds. I want to hit you on this. Blaine Gaskell is his name. School resource officer at Great Mills High School in Maryland. Hero?
Right. Oh, yeah, absolutely, hero. We have got, since Columbine, we consider that the bellwether event for changing the way law enforcement responded to these active murderer situations, and he did the right thing. You run toward the shooting. You've got more tactics, you got more equipment than those kids do.
I like that phrase, by the way, active murderer. We don't always say that, but that's what they are. Yeah. Dr. Jim Cox, we could talk to you every day. I always appreciate the time. Thanks for the insight.
You're very welcome, sir.
There you go. Dr. Jim Cox, former chief of police in Murphy and Corsicana, assistant professor and director master in public administration program at Tarleton State. 826 WBAP. Coming up at 845, Canada is directing they're directing all of their governmental agencies to drop this. You're not going to believe it at 845. Marley's got the 830 news next.